Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel, and thank you for clicking on the video. Today, we're going to be talking about the Cestra. Now, the Cestra has been pretty doo-doo for a long time. Actually, it's basically not even existed. Now that it's got an Incarnon, it's actually pretty good now. I wouldn't say it's like super incredible or game-changing. It's definitely received a buff, that's for sure. But I don't think it's like a WoW weapon like, you know, the Torrid was or the Latron was. It's not. It doesn't have anything super crazy going on with it. It just does like a lot more damage. It sort of behaves like a shotgun. It does have a lot of multi-shot. So if you like shoot the wall, there are a lot of pellets coming out. And as far as like the damage, this is without a ribbon. So you're well into the reds. Damage is pretty decent, you know. It's good for, you know, quickly clearing out a hallway full of ads. Is it super duper crazy? Like, oh my god, I must have? Not really. It's still very strong though. I will give it that. Definitely worth having for sure. But I still think, you know, Incarnon's like the Lex and other things are a little bit more interesting and deal a lot more damage. As far as, including the Furus too, right? That one's a little bit more interesting. This one, not so much. Definitely good. Definitely strong. But as far as, like I said, it being, wow, that is the coolest new weapon in the game, not at all. Not even close. But definitely nice to have a pistol that used to be garbage, not be garbage anymore. And the damage, like I said, quite good, but not crazy. So yeah, there you go. That's the Cestra, the Incarnon Cestra. So let's talk about the evolutions and why I chose them. First of all, first one I went with Fortress Salvo. Now this is really, really good. In fact, the gameplay you just saw didn't even show this evolution because baseline Excalibur does not have 450 armor or more. So real quick, I'll go and play Wukong here, because he does have over 450 armor. In fact, let's go test it right here, and you'll see just how strong that extra 80% is. A lot more numbers on your screen. It's about 5 now. 5 pellets per shot. Very, very strong. Not many weapons in the game outside of shotguns have over 5 multi-shot, let alone a pistol. Your other option is extra critical damage when breaking a shield or overguard. Now, you'll probably experience this a lot in the Corpus faction, but I wouldn't really use this weapon in the Corpus faction. The weapon I would use in the Corpus faction is actually the Dara Vandal. Go check out that video I uploaded right before this one. Option 2, we have projectile speed, which is what I chose, extra accuracy, and reload speed. You could probably make an argument for the accuracy because, as you saw, the 5 multi-shot, right, those can spread out a little bit, but if you're close enough to the enemy, it really doesn't matter. And I'm using corrosive, so honestly, it doesn't matter a whole lot. I'm just shredding their armor anyway. So you could make an argument for this, but I actually prefer to go with the projectile speed. That's just a personal choice of mine. Option 3, we have extra crit chance on base, extra base critical damage, and this one, in my opinion, is a trap. It is not a good evolution at all. You really want to just focus on these two. And if you have a Riven with crit chance, go with this. If you don't, go with this, because otherwise you won't be able to reach 200% crit without having a Riven if you go with this one. Without a Riven, you can hit 200 crit chance with this and easily hit reds and oranges like you saw. Now, this is the build that I'm using for the Cestra. Pretty standard. We are doing Viral Heat and running Cascadia Flare. If you take out the Heat mod and you scroll down, it doesn't have Heat like most other Incarnons do, so I highly recommend you run Heat with this weapon, as obviously it's going to increase your damage and obviously also proc Cascadia Flare, which is where we're getting the bulk of our damage, not including Galvanized Shot by proccing IPS and the other two statuses. Creeping Bullseye for more crit chance. Again, you absolutely need it in order to hit 200, over 200. More multi-shot and fire rate. This weapon actually benefits a lot from fire rate, so if you have a Riven with fire rate, it's actually quite good. As far as the other mods, I recommend Galvanized Shot 2 because that status chance does help with the overall damage. The reason you're seeing this is I am running Tenacious Bond, so I am increasing my critical damage slightly thanks to my companion, which was also running viral. So you could actually take this out and go corrosive and heat, and that'll work out quite nicely as well. But not everybody runs viral on their companion, so that's a personal preference. As far as my Riven build, this is what I was running for the Riven. Now, I wouldn't run this much crit chance at all. It's a little bit of an overkill. I am running secondary encumber just to increase the additional direct damage due to how much multi-shot I have. This isn't including the 80% from the evolution. So with this Riven, you're actually hitting about 6 times, which is pretty crazy. The one I actually go with is the critical damage because I have crit chance on my Riven. So if you do have a Riven, just go with the critical damage one, and you're hitting just insane damage, just absolutely insane. So be sure to run a build similar to this if you have a Riven. Obviously go for multi-shot, crit chance. Those are obviously the best stats, but fire rate is also something to look out for. I think it's quite good with this. One thing I forgot to mention real quick is actually if you hold down the trigger, your crit chance increases when you don't stop shooting. So if you do end up going with the critical damage one without a crit chance Riven, you could still hit over 200% crit. I believe the mandatory amount of bullets to be fired, I think, is 1/3 of the mag, so it does have 150 at max. So you'd have to shoot about 50 bullets to reach the maximum threshold for the extra feature here. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. What do you think of the Cestra? How does it compare to those other secondary Incarnon weapons we have received in the past 2 years? I think it's middle of the road, honestly. I think it's going to be pretty good for early game sort of things. But as far as what's better and what I would normally use instead, definitely the Lex and the Furus. I think overall they're better in that regard. You just can't really ignore how much damage those things put out compared to just a bullet spray sort of secondary. So as far as that goes, check out my other Incarnon video for the Dara. I highly recommend getting that if you have not watched it yet. I think it's very, very good with gas and running it with a Bane on top of Roar. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely nuts. You could turn a single fire weapon into an AoE killing machine. So check that video out if you're interested, and I appreciate you watching till the end of this one. Other than that, check out some of my other videos as well, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.